In case that you are not aware, CobaltStrike is a company, as you can see here. If you Google CobaltStrike, you see a similar results like this one that was used for red team type of attacks and tools. Unfortunately, those tools fell in the hands of the bad guys, and they are using it extensively. As you can see, you can get more details of this, and it's getting very hard to detect those attacks because the people from CobaltStrike actually made them blend along, normal traffic. In this particular case, is they blended in with jQuery type of traffic, which is normal and pretty valid and very much present in most websites out there. The objective of this video is to share some findings and some tips that my good friend Josh Morin has put in helping people to leverage their existing QRadar and QNI installation for detecting this type of attacks. And you'll see how easy it is. And to do this, we are going to use the lingua franca of attacks on the internet, which are YARA rules. Let me show you the one he wrote. So here's the YARA rules. This meta part, in case that you're not familiar with YARA, you can ignore it. It's just documenting who did this, and actually Josh was thorough enough to show the reference to this site, which we're going to be visiting pretty soon to see the details of it. But these are meta parties, again, consider that like comments for the rule. The important pieces are these. What is it searching for? In this particular case, there are two strings. And you can have here a regular expression, you can have all sort of different things. But here, these are two literal strings. And looking for the presence of this text, actually up to here only, jQuery. As I told you, these attacks, these beacon attacks are embedded and make it look like standard jQuery type of attacks. And this other string. And the condition in here for the evaluation of the string, you can have one of them, etc. But in this case, both of them needs to be present. Let's actually go to this site and see what's in there. So these are actually the profiles that the bad guys use with the CobaltStrike tool to perpetrate those attacks. And if we look into any one of these, and if we search for one of those strings that are in the YARA rules, we'll find it here. So these are present in every one of those strings. So what Josh did in creating his rule is say, well, I want to instruct QNI to look into the content of the payload of all the traffic going on, and if it finds those two things, then it's going to be flagged as a suspect content. And to test this out, we are going to be replaying a pickup of this actual traffic itself. By the way, the YARA rule and the pickup will be available in the public box folder. Link is in the video description of all my videos, under a folder under the name Morin, for Josh Morin. Okay? So in order to get this going, what we need to do is first load that simple YARA rule into QRadar. How do we do that? So this rule, I have it. I open it up with a normal editor, and it has to be terminated in .jar. But what you do is that if you have QNI installed, you'll have here this forensic tab, in which you click on it, and you're going to just drag or select the file, however you prefer, into here. Now, one important caveat is that there's only one YARA rule for all the rules that you have. So if you upload one rule today and another one tomorrow, you're going to supersede the one you did yesterday or the one you did today. So again, one file for all the YARA rule in there. So in our case, we're going to just upload one simple rule for this example. After you do that, you notice that the system will ask you to deploy changes, which I already did. Before we show the results of replaying that pickup, if you open it with Wireshark, you can see that this is actually jQuery. And by the way, and we may do another video on this, notice that the bad guys use the port 443 in order to give the SOC analyst the impression that the traffic is encrypted, so you will not see it, but actually the traffic is not encrypted, even though it's using the port 443. That's another way of obfuscating their detection. But you can see the details, and this will look to the naked eye like a normal jQuery type of stuff that happens all the time on the web. But the fact that we have those YARA rules loaded in QRadar will make us find it or detect that. Let's actually go to the network activity tab to see that. What we're going to be looking for it is we are going to look for suspect content as the custom property. Anyone that is not an A, add filter, and we're going to go back, let's go back 15 minutes or whatever. And here we are. Notice that even on the application, it's actually telling us that it's actually the jQuery that we actually find. And it actually finds another suspect content. Let's take a look at some of these things and see what we find here. We have multiple entries. Let's actually take the first one and see it in detail and see what is it that QNI extracted from it, right? Notice in the description that's the YARA rule that we put in there. We got some hashes in there. It's actually, in fact, we can even click on it and we should be able to see it in the X-Force. This should be flagging this as bad, and it sure is. And we have the embedded data. I have the integration with VirusOtter. I did a video on how to show this a while back. So let's go back here. Actually, let's go back to the content that was extracted by QNI in it. So you have all these hashes. You have all these details. And to keep this video short, we're going to leave it like this, show the value of this. We're going to be doing a series of videos with just more on QNI and YARA rules and CobaltStrike detection. But in the next video, we're going to show you how easy it is to, instead of doing a search manually, how to write a rule that looks for a suspect content of the particular type, this one that we loaded.